Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
The current president of the United States is Donald Trump. This is real. President Donald Trump made a very important decision on June 4, 2025. This decision was about students who come from other countries to study in America. These students need special papers from the government called visas to enter the country for school. President Trump's decision was specifically about students who wanted to study at a very famous school in the U.S., Harvard University. President Trump signed an official paper, like an order. This order said that new students from other countries could not get certain types of visas to study at Harvard anymore. This included visas like the F1 visa, which is common for academic study, and other types used for exchange programs. This was very surprising and big news for many people around the world. This decision had a fast and large effect. It immediately affected thousands of students who wanted to attend Harvard from different countries. Many of these students had already been accepted, or were getting ready to start their studies. Now, because of this order, they could not get the necessary papers to travel to the U.S. and study at Harvard. This created a lot of worry and uncertainty for them. It felt like their plans for the future were suddenly stopped. The order also meant that the visas of students already studying at Harvard could be checked and maybe taken away. The government in Washington, D.C., the White House, gave a reason for President Trump making this order. They said the reason was national security. This means keeping the country safe from dangers. The government claimed there were security concerns connected to foreign students at universities, and specifically mentioned Harvard. However, Harvard University strongly disagreed with this decision. The leaders and officials at Harvard said that the president's order was not legal and not right. They said it was like a punishment from the government because Harvard had disagreed with them on some other issues. They said this was illegal retaliation. This means they believed the government was unfairly fighting back against Harvard using this ban. So, because of this big decision, a major disagreement and conflict started. This fight was between the U.S. government and Harvard University. The fight began right away. Harvard said they would try to stop the government's order in court. This was the start of a serious and public battle. It involved many people and raised big questions about universities, the government, and international education. This first step, the ban on new foreign student visas for Harvard, marked the beginning of this important conflict. 2. The new rules. Chapter 2 explains the new rules that were put in place for foreign students related to Harvard University. On June 4, 2025, President Donald Trump signed an important paper. This paper, called a presidential proclamation, created the new rules. The main rule is a stop on new visas for students from other countries who plan to study at Harvard. The order specifically stops new F1 visas for academic students, M1 visas for vocational students, and J1 visas for exchange visitors who are going to Harvard. This means that new students from abroad cannot get these common types of visas if their plan is to attend Harvard. The flow of new international students to the university is stopped. The proclamation also addresses students who are already studying at Harvard. These students have visas they received earlier. The new rules ask the government, through the Secretary of State, to look at these existing visas. They are directed to consider revoking or canceling them. This means that current international students at Harvard might have their visas reviewed and possibly canceled on a case-by-case basis if they fit certain criteria. It is not an automatic cancellation for everyone, but it gives officials the power to remove visas. These rules are different because they are aimed only at Harvard University. The proclamation clearly states the ban applies only to Harvard and its programs. Students planning to attend other universities in the United States are not affected by this specific order. This makes the rule very specific and unusual. There are some possible exceptions. The proclamation allows students to still get a visa for Harvard if their entry is considered to be in the national interest of the United States. This could apply to students doing work that is very important for the country. The ban has a time limit. It is set to be in effect for 6 months. However, the president has the authority to extend the ban for a longer period if he believes it is needed. He can also end it earlier. The official reason given by the White House for these rules is to protect the country. They said it is to safeguard national security. They called Harvard an unsuitable destination for foreign students. The administration mentioned concerns about security risks, like foreign spies and technology theft, connected to universities. They also said Harvard did not share student information as required by the government. They argued that Harvard has connections to foreign countries, especially China, which they see as a risk. The government believes that allowing foreign students at U.S. universities is a privilege and that Harvard has failed to meet certain requirements. The Attorney General said the Department of Justice will strongly defend the proclamation in court. 3. Why Trump did it. The White House explained its decision to stop new foreign students from coming to Harvard University. President Donald Trump's administration gave several reasons for this action, saying it was needed for the safety of the country and to make sure that universities follow important rules. One main reason given was concern about national security risks. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, has warned for many years about foreign spies. These spies, the FBI said, sometimes try to use universities in America to find secrets or to steal important technology and new ideas. The administration suggested that Harvard's programs for international students might be easily used by these foreign efforts. They argued that if Harvard was not careful enough to watch and report suspicious activities by its foreign students, it could create a significant security risk for the United States. Another reason was related to sharing information. Officials from the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, had asked Harvard to provide them with data. This data was about foreign students at Harvard who had been involved in incidents like crimes or problems related to security on campus. The White House stated that Harvard did not give enough information to DHS. They said Harvard only provided details for a very small number of students, which they called deficient. The administration believed this meant Harvard was not fully reporting problems or seriously monitoring its students from other countries. They felt Harvard was not helping the government enough in keeping track of potential risks. Concerns about money and influence from foreign countries were also mentioned as a reason. The administration pointed to Harvard's financial connections with foreign governments, especially its ties to China. They stated that Harvard had received a large amount of money from Chinese sources over recent years. The White House suggested that because of this money, Harvard might have connections with groups that are linked to the Chinese Communist Party. They worried that research or activities at Harvard could help China in ways that are not good for the United States. These ties were seen as potentially harmful to American interests. Problems on the Harvard campus itself were also used to support the decision. The administration said there had been an increase in crime occurring at the university. They also stated that there was a rise in incidents on campus that were considered anti-Jewish. The government claimed that Harvard did not take strong or sufficient action to deal with these problems on its campus. This lack of strong response was presented as another reason why the university was viewed as not suitable for hosting international students. Finally, the administration made a key argument. Allowing foreign students to study at universities in the United States is a privilege given by the government, not an automatic right. They argued that Harvard must follow all federal laws, including laws about campus safety and reporting, to keep this privilege. The White House believed that Harvard had not met its responsibilities under these laws completely. They said that by not fully reporting incidents and by not dealing with certain student behaviors strongly enough, Harvard was not in full compliance. The government's position was clear. Until Harvard works fully with federal rules and shares the information needed, it should not be allowed to have foreign students. These points formed the basis for the administration's actions against Harvard University. 4. The Big Fight. The big fight between the White House and Harvard University started months before the visa ban. In April 2025, the White House asked Harvard to change some rules. These demands were about university policies and student behavior. But Harvard did not agree. They said they have academic freedom, which means they can make their own decisions about their school. Refusing these demands made the disagreement strong. The government then took other actions against Harvard. Federal officials stopped giving Harvard a lot of money for research. This was over $2 billion. The administration also said it might take away Harvard's tax status. This would mean Harvard pays more taxes. These actions were seen as ways to pressure the university. Next, the government focused on foreign students. The Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, manages a program that lets schools have students with F1 and J1 visas. In May, DHS wanted to remove Harvard from this program. If this happened, Harvard could not accept most foreign students. Harvard quickly fought back in court. They asked a federal judge to stop DHS. A judge in Boston, Judge Allison D. Burroughs, heard the case. She made a temporary order that stopped DHS from removing Harvard from the program. This was a victory for Harvard in the court fight. But the government did not stop. President Donald J. Trump signed a presidential proclamation on June 4. This order directly stopped new foreign students from getting visas to study at Harvard. The proclamation used the president's power in immigration law. It seemed like the government was trying a different way to achieve the same goal after the judge stopped the DHS action. Harvard officials called these actions unfair and political. They said the government was punishing Harvard because the university would not change its rules. They used the term political retaliation. Harvard believes the government is trying to control the university. This fight involves many different actions by the government against Harvard. 5. Harvard says no. The leaders at Harvard University spoke strongly against the new rule. They said the ban on student visas was illegal. They also said it was done to punish Harvard. The university promised to fight against this decision. Harvard leaders said they would protect their international students. They also promised to protect the freedom of teaching and learning at the school. They said Harvard follows the rules about foreign students already. They said the new rule broke the rights of students. Jason A. Newton, who speaks for Harvard, said the ban was another illegal step against the university. He said Harvard would continue to protect its international students. Inside Harvard, many people were worried and angry. Students from other countries did not know what would happen to their visas. Students who were accepted to start this year might not be able to come to the U.S. Some teachers and experts from other countries began to look for other places to work. Harvard has many international students and experts, more than 10,000 people. They are about a quarter of the university's people. Students at Harvard had small, quick protests. People who finished studying at Harvard before also gave their help in the fight. People outside Harvard had different ideas about the ban. Some people in the government and the Republican Party said the ban was needed. They said it helped keep the country safe. They also said it made sure Harvard followed the law. People like Secretary Noem and Secretary of State Marco Rubio agreed. They said Harvard must follow the government's rules. Other people, including Democrats and groups that help protect people's rights, said the rule was too harsh. They said it hurt schools in the U.S. and was not fair to the students. Some people who support free speech worried that the rule would make people afraid to speak freely at the university. Countries around the world were watching. China's government quickly spoke strongly against the ban. They said the U.S. action was political and treated some people unfairly. They said it was aimed at students from China and Hong Kong. China said this would hurt schools in both countries. It would also make the U.S. look bad around the world. Many students from China study in the U.S. China was worried about this sudden change. Other countries also paid attention to the U.S. rules for universities. Students and schools worry. The new visa ban stopped new international students from coming to Harvard University. Harvard could not give them the needed papers for their visas. This meant that many students who wanted to start their studies at Harvard this year faced a big problem. They did not know if they could enter the United States. Many of these students had already paid money to Harvard. They had also made important life plans, like moving and starting a new school. Now, these plans were very uncertain. This caused a lot of worry for thousands of students and their families. Current international students already studying at Harvard also felt worried. The government said it would look at their visas and could decide to take them away one by one. This rule did not cancel all existing visas at once, but it put a cloud of fear over every international student at Harvard. They lived with the possibility of losing their visa and having to leave the country suddenly. Students doing important research projects, like those in science labs, felt especially afraid. They worried they might not be able to finish their work. One student who is doing research said he felt his visa was safe before, but now he is unsure if his project can continue or if he will have to leave. This uncertainty made many students feel confused and scared about their future in the U.S. Harvard University itself also had strong worries about the visa ban. International students provide a lot of money to the university through their study fees. If fewer international students enroll, Harvard could lose important income. This loss could make it difficult for the university to support its many programs, pay its teachers, and fund important research activities. International students also bring new ideas and different perspectives to the university, which makes the learning environment richer. Losing these students could make Harvard less diverse and weaken its academic programs. The university feared this could stop important scientific and academic research. Other universities across the United States watched the situation at Harvard with great alarm. They were worried that this specific ban might make all international students think twice about coming to the U.S. to study. These students might decide it is safer or easier to go to universities in other countries, such as Canada, Australia, or countries in Europe. Universities in the U.S. attract many of the world's smartest students. These students are important for U.S. universities to stay competitive globally, and for the country to lead in areas like science, technology, and medicine. If these talented students choose to study elsewhere, the U.S. could lose its leading position in global education and research. Groups that represent American universities publicly shared their concerns, saying that limiting international students would hurt the country's schools and future. Some students hoped to find a way to stay or still come to Harvard despite the ban. The government's rule mentioned that students whose entry was in the national interest could get special permission or a waiver. This exception was mostly for students doing critical research or work that was important for the U.S. Students in science or medical research labs, for example, might try to ask for this special permission. They hoped this would allow them to continue their studies or research at Harvard. However, this was not an option for most students, and the future for many remained very unclear. Everyone waited anxiously to see what the government and the courts would do next about the ban. 7. A look at the past. Looking around the world, other countries have also changed rules for student visas recently. The United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia, for example, made it harder for some international students to come. But their reasons were usually about the economy or having enough homes for people. They wanted to control how many people came in for these reasons. This situation with the United States and Harvard is different. The U.S. government did not say the ban was for economic reasons. It said it was for national security. Also, other countries did not target just one university. The U.S. action against Harvard is unique because it names only one school for these security reasons. The United States has a history of presidents using their power over immigration for national security. Past presidents have sometimes stopped people from entering the country during difficult times. President Bush, after the attacks in 2001, made rules to check foreign students more carefully. President Obama also used this power in the past. President Donald Trump used this power before, too. He made travel bans that stopped people from several countries, mostly Muslim-majority countries, from entering the U.S. Those bans were challenged in court, but the Supreme Court said they were legal. The new ban on Harvard students uses the same legal power that presidents have used before. However, the difference is that it targets people going to one specific school, not people from certain countries or a large group like refugees. This makes the legal questions about the Harvard ban new. Courts will need to think about this type of ban for the first time. Lawyers will argue if it is fair to target one university like this. 8. What happens next? The big fight between Harvard University and the government is not finished. Harvard continues to take legal steps against what the administration is doing. The university believes the visa ban is not legal and is wrong. This means they will go to court again. Before, there was a court decision by Judge Allison D. Burroughs. This judge blocked a previous attempt by the government department DHS to stop Harvard from having foreign students. That was a small win for Harvard, giving them a short time of help. But the new ban came from President Donald Trump himself, using different powers. So Harvard needs to fight this new ban in court too. The government feels strong about its side. They say the president has the power to stop people from coming into the country for security reasons. Attorney General Pam Bondi and other government people say they will fight hard in court. They believe the court will agree with them in the end. Because both sides want to win, and the government has strong legal ideas, many people think this court battle will take a long time. It could go through many different courts, maybe even to the highest court in the United States. This situation is important for more than just Harvard. It affects ideas about academic freedom. This is the idea that universities should be free to teach and research without the government telling them exactly what to do. It also affects higher education in the U.S. in general. Other universities are watching because they worry about the future for all international students in America. International relations, how the U.S. gets along with other countries, is also part of this. The students who want to go to Harvard or are already there feel very unsure about their future. They don't know if they can start their studies or if they can stay in the country. Their plans are now very difficult. Nobody knows exactly how this will end or what will happen to these students. What do you think will happen with the court case?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.